Everything shifts once you have $2.5 million in savings, and most people don't realize how big that shift really is. Up to that point, retirement planning is all about one question: am I going to have enough? But once you cross roughly $2.5 million, that question quietly fades into the background, and a completely different set of problems takes its place. Not market crashes, not running out of money, but tax drag, forced income, loss of control, and inefficient decisions that slowly erode what you've already built. That's what we're talking about today. Why $2.5 million becomes a turning point, and how smart retirees adjust their strategy once accumulation is no longer the goal. Hi, I'm Josh Bliss, investment advisor representative, retirement income specialist, and founder of Gateway Capital Management. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how retirement planning changes once you reach about $2.5 million, why the old rules stop working, and what needs to replace them. And real quick, if this is helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. It helps more people find this kind of planning guidance. Part 1. Why $2.5 million is a real inflection point. First, let me be clear. $2.5 million is not a magic number. Your lifestyle, where you live, healthcare costs, and spending goals all matter. For some households, this shift happens closer to $2 million. For others, it might be $3 million or more. But in practice, $2.5 million is where patterns start changing for a lot of families. Why? Because at that level, the math changes. Even using conservative assumptions, a properly structured portfolio can often support six-figure annual income before Social Security. And once your core lifestyle is covered, the planning conversation stops being, will this work? And starts becoming, how do I use this efficiently without creating new problems? That's the moment accumulation stops being the main skill and optimization takes over. Part 2. The big mistake people make after they have enough. Here's something I see all the time. People reach financial security, but keep using the same mindset that helped them build wealth. They stay return focused. They stay growth obsessed. They assume higher returns will solve everything. But at this stage, returns aren't the bottleneck anymore. Efficiency is. If you've already won the accumulation game, squeezing out another percent of return usually does far less for your life than reducing lifetime taxes, smoothing income, avoiding forced distribution, protecting flexibility for surviving spouse. This is where a lot of retirees unknowingly leave hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, not from bad investments, but from bad coordination. Part 3. When taxes quietly become your biggest expense. Once portfolios get larger, something surprises a lot of people. Taxes, not spending, often become the largest annual expense in retirement. Not because someone is living extravagantly, but because of how income stacks once you have substantial assets. Think about what starts layering together. Required minimum distributions from large pre-tax accounts, interest and dividends, capital gains, taxable Social Security income, and higher Medicare premiums due to IRMAA. Suddenly, retirees are pulling out more income than they actually need and paying taxes on every dollar of it. I regularly see tax bills that exceed travel budgets, home maintenance, and even healthcare costs. That's the real shift. The problem isn't spending too much, it's being forced to recognize income inefficiently. Part 4. Why tax planning matters more than market performance. At this level, tax planning becomes more powerful than chasing returns. A modest improvement in after-tax efficiency can outperform aggressive investment strategies over a full retirement. Why? Because taxes are predictable, markets are not. Coordinating withdrawals, conversions, and income timing over 20 or 30 years can easily mean hundreds of thousands of dollars retained, not lost to unnecessary taxation. That is why retirement planning after $2.5 million becomes more about when income shows up, which accounts it come from, how it affects Medicare and Social Security, and how it compounds over time. That coordination matters far more than picking the best investment. Part 5. the shift from growth to control. Once you're financially secure, control becomes the real objective. Control over tax brackets, future RMDs, cash flow timing, portfolio volatility, and lifestyle flexibility. This is where strategies like intentional Roth conversions, structured withdrawal sequencing, and capital gains management start doing heavy lifting. Not to make you richer on paper, but to make your plan more resilient and more predictable. And that control often provides something returns never can: confidence. Confidence to spend, confidence to enjoy retirement, confidence to stop second-guessing every decision. Part 6. When legacy planning moves to the center. Another shift happens once personal security is no longer in question. Legacy planning stops being theoretical and becomes practical. At this stage, retirees start asking, how should this pass to my kids? How do I avoid unnecessary taxes at death? What do I want this money to actually do? This is where trust planning, beneficiary coordination, gifting strategy, and charitable planning start to matter. Not just for tax reasons, but for clarity and purpose. Many people find this stage of planning more meaningful than accumulation ever was, because now the money reflects values, not just discipline. Part 7. The harder shift, the psychological one. Here's the part no spreadsheet solves. Even when the math says you're secure, emotionally, many people still feel like they're in build mode. Decades of savings habits don't shut off overnight. Fear of loss can actually feel stronger when there's more at stake. And this leads to underspending, hesitation, and retirement that looks safe but feels constrained. The most successful retirees learn to transition from being great savers to being intentional users of their wealth. That mindset shift is just as important as any tax strategy. Part 8. The framework that makes this stage work. Retirement planning after $2.5 million works best when everything is coordinated. Not just investments, not just taxes, not just estate documents, but all of it working together. Tax optimization first, income planning second, legacy planning built in, and emotional clarity reinforced. This is where working with a retirement income specialist who understands tax-driven retirement strategy, not just portfolio management, can make a meaningful difference. Because once you reach this level, the biggest risks are no longer obvious. They're subtle, they're slow, and they're avoidable with the right structure. So if you're approaching or already past that $2.5 million mark, understand this. You didn't just accumulate wealth. You entered a new phase of planning where optimization replaces accumulation and control replaces growth. And when that shift is handled properly, retirement becomes less about worry and more about choice. If you're approaching retirement and want to make sure your plan is working for you, not against you, let's talk. Click the link in the description below to book a consultation with me, and I'll walk you through your options. Because retirement doesn't require guesswork, it requires a plan. And if you're interested in learning more about implementing a Roth conversion for your IRA investments, please see the additional link below for my complimentary Roth conversion playbook. This handy guide gives you clear, sequential steps on how to execute your own personalized Roth conversion. Thanks for watching, and once again, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who's getting ready to retire.